Good afternoon, everyone. Give me a thumbs up if all is well, you can hear me, and everything is expanded nicely. All right, thanks for the thumbs up, everyone. Thank you for being here today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Roshni, and I help doctoral students and postdocs in all aspects of their career exploration and journey. If you are joining me again today after last week's resume strategies that I shared, welcome back. Someone said that they can hear me. You put a little X mark, and then some others said that they can hear me just fine. So let me know. Okay. In my presentation today, you're going to notice that I've cut a lot of the fluff and gone straight to the heart of the matter. Today, on this topic of unlocking the power of LinkedIn, I want to leave you with a tangible next steps and answer some common questions I receive all the time about LinkedIn. Feel free to add your questions as they pop up in your mind. My one eye is on the chat box, or leave them to the very end, whatever it is that feels comfortable to you today. Also, you may have noticed that I've answered questions along the way again, as people ask similar questions about LinkedIn. So today, I overarchingly have three goals. And those goals are: first, I want to be able to demystify the depth and breadth, or sometimes fear, of using LinkedIn, especially if you're new to the platform and maybe unsure of what to do, as I was when I first used it. And then, second, I want to show you and take it step by step the things you can do with the different aspects of LinkedIn that might be meaningful to you. And at the very end, because it's been proven to be a valuable career exploration and strategy tool for millions of people, such as myself and some of our colleagues and some of you here as well. I know you personally. I hope to unlock its value for you. So, keeping these three goals in mind, I'm going to check in with you at the end to make sure that I've met these goals today. So, just a little bit of history. I made my own profile in 2017 when I was a postdoc. And I was faced at that moment in time I was faced with a visa dilemma. I became a mother and I realized a research career was not for me all at the very same time. It was an epiphany of sorts. And I needed a way to explore career pathways. I needed a way to talk to people and just get a job. That was my end goal. And for a year, when I first just dabbled in a little bit of LinkedIn, I used it to chat with people. And back then, I had no idea that was called informational interviews. And I didn't know how to chat with people. And LinkedIn itself in like 2017 was not the tool it is now. So over time, between 2017 and 2018, I started reaching out to people. Some things worked, some things didn't. I went on informational chats in person to AstraZeneca. I shadowed a few people. I started to learn what career paths were for me and what weren't. I found my first job on LinkedIn with a title I didn't even know existed. So the job that I do right now in career services, I didn't know there was this kind of job out there until I found it on LinkedIn. In 2019, I kind of at the end of 2019 found my second job advertised on LinkedIn. And then I also was able to prepare for the interview for my big 2020 job by contacting people attached to this job description, again, on LinkedIn. It wasn't until 2020 that now I started posting and creating content and kind of giving back to my network in the way in which I had sort of received some sort of value all those years. And then 2022, oftentimes, because I'm visible on LinkedIn, I'd be invited to be on someone's podcast or give a keynote or add some sort of value in some space. So if I were to summarize, after 5 to 6 years of use to me personally, LinkedIn has provided this one word, and that is value. Valuable information, valuable connections and conversations with a variety of folks, whether they have PhDs or not, and valuable opportunities. So it made me reflect a little bit on what this word value means. In a package, when I thought about it a little bit, to me, this is the essence of networking: creating value to others by knowledge sharing, being helpful, and then also being able to receive that same value or help from other people as well. So, for those of you who feel a little bit wary naturally about the idea of networking, perhaps reframing it in this way as value giving and receiving, maybe that's a good way to start looking at it from a different perspective. So today, let's get straight to it. The first thing I want to do and I want to talk about is how to set up a effective LinkedIn profile to be a good, and again, this word, effective storytelling tool. What should you first focus on if nothing else on your LinkedIn profile is ready and good to go? And following this, I'll talk about ways in which we're going to use LinkedIn. So the first thing, if you're just starting out or you're new or you don't have time, the first thing I'd like for you to focus on is getting together a professional headshot, maybe a cover photo. It's optional, but it doesn't take too much time, and a solid LinkedIn headline. So the first thing that people will see when they're browsing the platform is your profile picture. So share a picture that maybe represents you and how you want to be seen or perceived. So statistics show that LinkedIn users with a profile picture receive 10 times more messages from recruiters and other folks. And I can state personally that when folks approach to connect on LinkedIn, if there's no information on their LinkedIn profile, including a profile picture, I'm a little wary of accepting that request. You could also change your background photo. For me here, it's this gray and yellow picture there to reflect you or your experiences. Some folks who are teachers, and you might be educators here, your background could be one of your classroom where you're teaching. Scientists may have a microscopy image of something that they're working on. Maybe speech engineers, students that I work with, may have the sound waves as their image, just to showcase and enhance their story a little bit. Whatever helps you tell your story, you have the creative freedom to do what you want on this LinkedIn profile. The next thing that people will see and read is your LinkedIn headline. And sometimes this headline is the hardest thing to write, but again, this is what draws people to your profile and they want to read more. Most PhDs and postdocs, and you can let me know in the chat box if this is you, the LinkedIn headline will say PhD or postdoc at Johns Hopkins University or University of Maryland or whatnot. If that's you, no shame in that. That was my original headline as well. This is the default headline that LinkedIn may pick for you. Instead, it helps to remember that what the headline, again, is the first thing that people see on your profile. It's that first hook, the chance to engage the reader or the visitor to your profile, a chance to show your unique value proposition. What are you offering to your professional network? And it might feel as a doc or a postdoc that you have nothing of value to offer. And we can discuss that again because I feel like that's not true. It's always customized and tailored to your audience. For example, my audience is PhDs and postdocs. So my profile sort of screams, for the longest time, catered and addressed and had in its title PhDs and postdocs. Your audience might be engineers, recruiting managers, hiring managers at Google, Facebook. So what do the tech headlines look like? Or maybe it's the biotech industry. Your audience is going to be different. And depending on what use you have for LinkedIn, we'll talk about that as well. Your LinkedIn headline is going to be different as well. So I see that there's a question in the audience, and I'll answer that in a second. All in all, don't let LinkedIn pick a headline for you. And if you want your LinkedIn headline or your LinkedIn profile to be discoverable, searchable, feature keywords from your industry in your LinkedIn headline. That will become more clear in the next slide. Could you please elaborate? The question is, if we talk about hashtags help you connect with people with similar interests, or in general, how are they being used? So what Nicholas is referring to in the chat box is right below your LinkedIn headline. You can enable sort of a content creator mode. You can tell people what you generally talk about. So Nicholas, this is for someone who might be using LinkedIn as a content creator, and it helps them tell their brand a little bit more. So for me, I have talks about grad school, talks about careers, talks about empathy. So it's just another way for people who visit my profile to know what I'm about. So you can say, talks about data science, talks about machine learning. If indeed you're using your LinkedIn profile as a platform to talk about that. I'm about to give you a solid headline example. So the chat box, someone asked, can you give headline? And that's exactly what my next slide is about. Remembering what I shared about what a headline is, here are some examples of impactful headlines. So you tell me, and you can, the answer will reveal itself anyway as I'm talking. But instead of PhD student at Johns Hopkins University, what if you said, this is one of our students, I love connecting dots, data, and people. Then they say, PhD researcher at Johns Hopkins University. What they offer with their ability and their skill set to analyze data is very apparent. Maybe you're a postdoc at the School of Medicine and you study cell and molecular pharmacology. It's very easy to have your LinkedIn profile say that, or you're a postdoc who is currently in cell and molecular pharmacology who wants to transition into a role as a science communicator. Perhaps your LinkedIn headline would say science communicator because you've done quite a bit of science communication during your postdoc, specializing in translation medicine. Maybe you're an educator, and instead of saying simply that you're an early childhood education researcher, maybe some of the roles that you're targeting as you transition to new job is very data driven. And so you might want to align yourself with that data driven terminology. And you might say data driven educator, improving effectiveness of STEM programs. So you're seeing examples of what makes a good headline. Or you're someone like me. I could simply say director or associate director of futures, and it means nothing to anybody visiting my profiles. No one knows what futures is. Instead, I might say, or like my colleague says, empowering graduate students and postdoctoral fellows to design their lives, historian at work, that's their identity, and then they say what their title is, associate director of futures. So if that makes sense, one way to think of your headline is to pick one or two things that you're really good at, you're developing an expertise in currently, or you're interested in, and have that be part of your headline. What is that value you're offering to network? So maybe someone who's part of the Pro Bono Consulting Club might say, PhD researcher in nanomaterials at Hopkins, Pro Bono Consulting. That's simple and that's early on in your career. On LinkedIn, the form of currency is that being able to be discoverable, searchable. My best friend on LinkedIn for anything that I do is go to the search bar. That's exactly what people are doing. If a recruiter wants to find someone to fill a position for a science communicator, they'll type science communicator. So what keyword you're infusing your profile and your headline, that will determine where you become searchable, where you become discoverable. So what should you have on your headline? It really depends. What are you using LinkedIn for? If you want your profile to be discoverable, then use keywords from your industry, machine learning, nanoparticles, Egyptologists, so that someone searching those names can find you. If you're using LinkedIn to build your connections and grow your network, maybe your early postdoc, early grad career, maybe just showcase your personality a little bit or tell them what you're about. My current LinkedIn profile headline, which by the way keeps changing as I keep evolving in my mindset and my thinking, it says, I build programs with equity and impact. And that's my value proposition. I'm not really talking about PhD postdoc work as I look towards what I aspire to be. So it is whatever you feel comfortable with and whatever's telling your story. Another great piece of real estate in LinkedIn is your about section or your summary section. So if you scroll a little below your headline, you scroll past the new features on LinkedIn, which is the featured section and some of the activities, you'll encounter your summary section. And this is another way to tell people more about you, to infuse your summary section with keywords. It's your chance and opportunity to define yourself in your own words. What are you about? Frame your past. What did you do in the past? What are some of your skill sets? It's this opportunity, and I usually people will have their headline, people will have their profile picture, but their summary section is too much work, so they don't have it. It's your ability to again strengthen that first impression and get people to visit your profile and chat with you and reach out to you. I don't like those those summary sections that are written in third person, or as if it was somewhere else, I feel like it loses that kind of connection with the audience. I like to write it as if I'm speaking. So introduce yourself as if you would speak. For me, I talk a little bit about my background, what my values are. I like problem solving, what I aspire to do. I speak a little bit about my hobbies and my personal values as an immigrant, as a poet, as a mother. I add that in my LinkedIn profile. It's up to you. Just don't miss the opportunity to make it work for you. So use that section as much as you can to infuse it with information about you. Some ideas for you as you're thinking about what you might want to add in that summary section. Describe what makes you tick. Maybe explain your current role. Maybe highlight some of your accomplishments. Tell a story about being a first gen immigrant. Be strategic, infuse it with those keywords. And if you don't know what keywords to use yet, we're going to come to that in a second. Just don't miss that, again, don't miss that opportunity for it to make it work for you as well. So as we're progressing, okay, and we'll talk about that keyword. Now, I'll re-emphasize as we go along that search bar on LinkedIn. The other things on your LinkedIn profile that you can focus on, and I'm not going to go into nitty-gritty details of how to make your education, what to add. I'm going to give you this overview so that we can focus on now how to leverage LinkedIn. The other sections that you can add and feature on your LinkedIn profile that are very different from your resume and your cover letter is LinkedIn offers you a chance to feature some of your media, articles, posts, things like that in the very front of your page. So think of it as your professional scrapbook that people can look through. Just overarchingly, just complete your LinkedIn profile. If you are going to feature something, it tells you here, you can add a post, you can add a newsletter, article, link, media. For me, I've taken some of my top posts that tells people what I talk about, and it's featured right there on my profile. The next section, as similar to your resume, are different sections of your profile. Your experiences, your skill sets, your endorsements, things like that is the remainder of your LinkedIn profile. One piece of advice: just complete the LinkedIn profile. It doesn't have to be detailed, long, and goes on forever and forever. If you already have a good resume, you're happy with the resume bullet points, it can be a simple cut, copy, paste into your LinkedIn profile. Or you don't have to have bullet points. You can have a short paragraph describing what you did as a grad student, as a postdoc, in your role as the president of the Postdoc Association, and so on and so forth. The fact that you're able to provide this much information, again, helps with being discoverable and searchable. Can you go back to the section on the About page? Okay. What is your question about this particular section? Remember that I will be giving you the slides and I will also be sharing the recording this time. So complete your profile, infuse it with keywords. Again, I'll give you an idea of what these keywords look like as we're going to go and dive deeper into the equation. In summary, when you have a good LinkedIn profile, start with focusing on your headline and your summary section and your About section. Complete your profile. Often, if your resume is good to go, again, just add sections from there. Often, when you go to apply for Microsoft, Amazon, Biotech, AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, and you're in that job application portal, it will ask for your LinkedIn URL. So know that this LinkedIn is incorporated into organizations' application portals already. So oftentimes you can just drop the URL there, and sometimes it even imports the data from your LinkedIn into the job portal, or wherever else you're applying traditionally. You can add complementary information like media, articles, links, etc., as part of your LinkedIn profile. If you go check out my LinkedIn profile and you see my experience section, I have listed my resume bullet points in there, but I've also attached media, articles where I was featured, podcast links, so on and so forth. So it gives you a little bit more freedom than your traditional 1 or 2 page resume and your black and white cover letter. So sometimes I get questions, should I ask for a recommendation on LinkedIn? Should I give one? It's nice to have that someone else has out there has endorsed you for your skills and thinks highly of you. It's nice to have, but it's not make or break. It requires us to ask someone to give us a recommendation, and then also ask someone if they would like a recommendation. It's a nice way to give and receive. There's an endorsement section on your LinkedIn profile. Should you have 99 plus endorsements for a particular skill set? Sure, it showcases you as an expert at maybe public speaking or web design. But again, that is really, it depends on who's visiting your profile and giving you the endorsements. It's not make or break. For me, all this while, for the last 5 years, my profile had RT-PCR as one of my skills, and I really don't need it anymore. So I deleted those skill sets. So your skills evolve over time. It's not make or break. It's nice to have if so many people think you're an expert at something. How detailed should you be? Remember, as people are looking through LinkedIn, they're simply skimming through the profile. So it doesn't need to be pages and pages and pages that you just keep scrolling down. It can be short paragraphs. Again, it's a measure of your communication skills. So it can be short paragraphs or a few bullet points. And so oftentimes people also ask, what metrics should I be paying attention to? What should I be looking at? And it depends. What are you using LinkedIn for? If you're looking for to be discoverable by recruiters, it's nice to see on your who's visited my page, recruiter visited my page. And especially if it's a recruiter from that particular company that you just applied to, wonderful. Other metrics that content creators might pay attention to is insights. Who's visited your profile? How many people engage with your posts? Things like that you might get from like a LinkedIn premium package. But for most folks, that's sort of, you don't need to worry so much about those metrics per se. The question is, how do I create content on the About page? So on the About, what do you mean create content? So yeah, so you see this little pencil mark at the top over there. Just click on that, and that should be, you should be able to import a Word document that you've created on your About section and add it there. You cannot add media to your About section, but right below your About section on the featured portion of your LinkedIn, you can add your media and any other content that you want to create. If you want to post content, I'll share how you could do that at the very end. Okay, so that's all I wanted to tell you about the nitty-gritty details of the LinkedIn profile. Please feel free to ask those questions as you are right now in the chat box, and leave it to the end as well. But also remember, tomorrow I'm having like a drop-in ask from 12 to 1 p.m. and you can come with your LinkedIn profile and you can ask for my or the group's opinion on your LinkedIn headline and pieces of your LinkedIn as well. So now that you have a good understanding of what entails and makes a good LinkedIn profile, let's get into the nitty-gritty of how to use LinkedIn. So I'm creating in today's talk 2 to 3 scenarios of different kinds of people using LinkedIn for different reasons. In scenario 1, we have a PhD student or a postdoc in chemical engineering who specializes and studies cosmetics. So replace what you study, childhood education, Egyptology, American literature, biotech, nanomaterials, with any of these topics. You're a PhD student or postdoc in a particular discipline and you focus on cosmetics. This person has a basic LinkedIn profile, but doesn't use it. These are the kinds of conversations I usually have. This person has told me that they always found networking really uncomfortable and are not sure what to do. But their ultimate goals to use LinkedIn as it stands now is to just expand their career path awareness, learn more about roles out there for them, and to just start making connections on LinkedIn. So what would I say what would I recommend for them to do first on LinkedIn? So how should they use LinkedIn? The first step, complete your LinkedIn profile, focus on your headline, about section, and a profile photo. Next, checking on the chat, I see there's a messages in the chat. Once you have your LinkedIn profile done and ready, and your goal is to expand your network, there's two things I want you to pay attention to. One of those things is the My Network section on top, where I'm highlighting. And the other one is this best friend tool of LinkedIn that I mentioned, the search bar. The search bar and the subsequent filters are super, super, super important on LinkedIn. So in this situation, this person wants to connect with people in the cosmetics industry because they think that they might want to explore a career in the cosmetic industry. They're not sure yet. So they've just put in the search bar cosmetics, and they have the options now to filter on jobs, companies, people, events, groups, courses, posts, etc., etc., etc. Okay. And so the next thing for them to do is, once they filter on people, they have the opportunity to also pick a company or let it be a very broad search. So in this situation, they are filtering on people. They're about to filter by location because they want to stay in the United States. And they're really interested in a career as maybe a scientist at L'Oreal. Let's say, for example. So you can put any company you choose here that you're aware of, or let LinkedIn do the search for you. So now they filtered on people. And the next thing is, it yields a bunch of results. People, United States, who work at L'Oreal. And again, I'm going to highlight here how important the headline is, because only based on the headline, now they're going to browse through people's profiles. And these are complete strangers on LinkedIn that they may or may not know. So these people show up, and after clicking on this person's profile and browsing, they are very interested in Marion George's role at L'Oreal. So what would they do? First things first is they would go back and they would click on the connect button here on LinkedIn. And as soon as the connect button comes up, they have two options. They can first add a note to the invitation, or they can just blindly connect. I always say add a note. And that's for several reasons. One is it shows that you've taken the time to look up the person. It really makes it clear why you're connecting with the person. And it's just a nice touch. Whenever you're connecting with folks on LinkedIn, it's an extra effort, because otherwise everyone's just sending connect buttons willy-nilly. So you could say something like this. Hi, Marian, I'm a PhD student in chemical engineering, focused on analytical testing for cosmetic ingredients. Your career pathway in R&D, especially in the industry, intrigued me and prompted me to reach out. Would you be open to connecting on LinkedIn? So that's as simple as sending that connection button. Now, when I know someone, I've already had conversations with them, maybe on Twitter or in person, then I just add the connect button because we know each other. But if it's a complete stranger, introduce yourself. It's almost like you're going up to the person, shaking hands. So there are three outcomes of sending that note, right? And it's a huge step. We don't know if they're going to respond to us, but then if they do, then I have to continue the conversation. Three things can happen in my experience. One is you hit send and they never accept your response, your request to connect, and nothing happens. Two is that they connect, and you may have all experienced this as well. They connect, and then you need nothing at the moment, and you just thank them for connecting and leave it at that. And maybe you want to approach them in a few weeks from now. Or the third route is you take the conversation further and you start gathering information about their role, what they do, so on and so forth, by having an informational interview. So if you want to take the conversation further, then you might want to send a message such as this. And these are templates that I'll provide to you that you can use for your own LinkedIn search. Hi, Marian. Thank you for connecting on LinkedIn. Right now, I'm considering a career pathway in the cosmetic industry and would love to hear more about your journey as an R&D director. Would you be open to connecting for a 30-minute chat over Zoom? I'm fairly flexible this whole month. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts as time allows. It's polite, it's short, it states exactly what you want, and it also tells them how much time you're expecting to have this chat for. So that's an example in which you might send after you connected with the person. And then two things might happen. They do not respond, and this happens all the time. I do it all the time. It's just that I cannot keep up sometimes with the messages. So I would appreciate, and Marianne would appreciate a follow-up, maybe 2 weeks later, maybe a week later. And the follow-up could look something like this. I'm sure you're swamped, but just wanted to quickly follow up to see if you're open to talking with me for 30 minutes virtually. Or they respond and they say, sure, here's my calendar. Then let's have this informational interview. Then what you want to do is come prepared with a set of questions that are not Googleable, that fit in 30 minutes, start on time, end on time, take notes, and then follow up and maintain that connection in the future. So in the end of this slide, when I share it with you, I have connected my informational interview talk, which is like 6 minutes, and then I've given you some questions you might ask at an informational interview as well. So now you've had your informational interview, you're gathering information, you're trying to figure out if you indeed want to work at L'Oreal as a scientist role or a marketing role or whatever the role is. How do you maintain the relationships? And these are frequently asked questions. Like, I had the conversation, but how do I maintain it? One way, some people who are really, really good, who have practiced this, and this is a student actually from Boston University who I had an informational interview with them, will send a message like this. Hi, Roshni. Hi, Marianne. Thank you again for taking the time to chat with me today. I appreciated hearing about your journey and what led you to where you are. I'm excited to utilize some of the tips, so on and so forth. So they're being very specific and referring to something that was shared within the conversation. I look forward to being in touch with you and taking you up on your offer to connect with me, connect me with some scientists down the line. All the best to your family. So after the nice conversation with the recruiter, with the connector, with whoever else you're having conversations with on LinkedIn or off of LinkedIn, send them a nice, sweet follow-up note. And then over time, there are other ways in which you can engage with the same person. So I just want to show a low stakes way of networking on LinkedIn. One way that that person maintained the relationship with me 2 years later is, hi, Roshni, or hi, Marianne. I wanted to wish you happy holidays. I hope you have some time to rest. I really like seeing all the things that you're doing on your LinkedIn profile. By the way, I'm in the middle of prepping for my qualifying exam that I hope to take in early spring. And this was last year. And then recently I got a message saying, hey, I passed my qualifying exam. And so we're building a rapport. We're building sort of a low stake conversation. I'm not having coffee with them every month. I'm not, I'm not asking for anything. They're not asking for anything. It's just a nice way to keep in touch. So sometimes this is all it takes when it comes to sort of networking or having conversations on LinkedIn. But there are other ways. And some of those ways are, once you connect, building a connection and you're connecting with these humans at the other end of this virtual world, you can engage with their content. Maybe they got a promotion. Maybe LinkedIn said it's their birthday. You can like, comment, share some of their congratulations message. You could say that. Sometimes I get people who might send me like an interesting information or article. Once in a while, that's okay. But I've been receiving an article from someone like every day, and that's a bit too much. So just something to keep the conversation going, especially if it's something that came up in conversation. And a third thing, and this is my favorite thing to do, is connecting the dots, connecting people to people. I see that one person is looking for a job and I hear from LinkedIn that someone else is looking to hire for a similar job. It costs me nothing to just connect those two people. One example was a few months ago, someone reached out and said, I'm kind of struggling as an international student to find internships. Can we chat? And we chatted. After a conversation through LinkedIn, we chatted on Zoom. And then I realized I do have someone in my network who I went to school with, who actually works in the same space in a hiring capacity, and then connected them too. And then the second email is that they got the internship at that person's company. So the best outcome for a LinkedIn networking conversation is that I connect two people and then there's some mutual outcome for those two people. So hopefully that's a little bit helpful to you as you're thinking of ways in which you can engage, and it's low stakes and it doesn't feel icky. Sometimes it's transactional, but it doesn't have to be transactional as well. Any questions coming up to you in the chat box? let me know, okay? All right. So moving forward is when we looked at scenario number 1, which was that student, now that they start to use LinkedIn, and I've seen this real time with the students that I talk to as well. Now they're not just a PhD student focused on cosmetics, they're a PhD student focused on cosmetics who's growing their connections on LinkedIn for when the moment comes that they're looking for internships or job opportunities. Now they have a basic LinkedIn profile, but they're using it to their comfort level. For now, this feels comfortable to them. So don't do anything that feels uncomfortable. They're using it. They thought networking was uncomfortable, but now they realize that it doesn't have to be performative or weird. It can be conversations that are being had privately in the inbox. And their goals, they're sort of meeting their goals where gradually over time, they're able to expand their career path awareness and they start to make these connections. So what LinkedIn has really done is it's revolutionized the way we connect with folks in different avenues, the way we search for jobs. It's really just a powerful tool. Sometimes I'll say it's an encyclopedia of career paths that you didn't even know existed, titles that you didn't know existed. I didn't know what VP of Talent Solutions was until like 3 months ago. It's connection and accessibility to people who do the hiring. And it can be, if you so choose it to be, a platform to share your own voice and to build sort of an expertise around you as well. So now I want to talk about a second scenario because this is next level unlocking the power of LinkedIn. This is a postdoc in neuroscience who is now ready to apply for a job in industry and out there. They specifically want to work in the Northeast USA. They have a complete LinkedIn profile. They've done informational interviews, and that has revealed to them that they really want to pursue an industry scientist position. Their goal right now is to learn more about open roles, learn about industries where they might be a good value add, and they want to start applying. And the question Nicholas has shared is, could you please mention a few things from the angle of a recruiter? I mean, how do they search for people, etc. Perfect timing, because I'm about to talk about one way in which we can connect with recruiters, given this scenario, and then I'll talk about what recruiters do as well. So in this scenario, the goal, again, let me specify, is to learn about what roles are open to them, is to explore some company names, some industries, small industries, big industries, and to actually start applying and start talking to recruiters. How do you do that? So in this scenario, again, we're not looking for an information interview. If you go to the top tab, what matters to this person is the jobs section, okay? So we're looking at this blue arrow mark, job section. That's going to be very handy. This is going to be your powerful research tool where you can learn all about the company, organizational structure, titles, so on and so forth. Like I said to you earlier, I didn't even know my job existed until I found it on a job description on LinkedIn. So this job section will help you enter into a portal where you can now apply and you can connect with recruiters. So how do you do that? And I've shared my screen here. I've recorded my screen. I'm going to take it step by step. So first, this person's background is in neuroscience, and they're broadly exploring jobs in the field of neuroscience. So in the search bar, they've put the word neuroscience in there, and they've restricted the area in the beginning to Washington, D.C., Baltimore. And now it has yielded some search results, right? And then they can filter on these different subcategories. Right now, they're filtering on a company they heard about, Spark Therapeutics. That's a good neuroscience company, but they didn't get any results. So they're going to keep it really broad. And then they're making sure that they are filtering on full-time roles and it's not internships, just to make sure. But for now, their search is very, very broad. They're making sure they're exploring the other filters here and then browsing through job descriptions. If you notice on this job description here, you can actually see who the LinkedIn poster is. And that's because I have a LinkedIn premium. But you don't necessarily have to have LinkedIn premium to track down who could potentially be the recruiter. Either way, what this person is now getting in exploring this jobs portal is information about the job, the company, the job description that will help them craft their resume, their cover letter, their LinkedIn profile, and help them interview if they ever get a call back. So using that filter section is super valid and super important. Now, what they arrive at after they're browsing, again, a lot of information, but now they have found a job or jobs or company that they really like, and that company is Johnson and Johnson. Okay, so now that they've narrowed down, they really want to work for Johnson and Johnson, and they're okay with the Philadelphia and New Jersey area in the Northeast. What they can do is now set an alert so that jobs come to their email and they get LinkedIn job alerts. So they don't miss a job. They also, again, able to understand the role. By the way, if you're not looking for a job right now, you're 3 years out, 2 years out, still browse and save jobs because you get the lingo and the language of the job description that you can incorporate into your resume. They can either apply now. If they click this apply button, it'll take them to the Johnson & Johnson website where they can apply for that role. And early on, you may have noticed something called Easy Apply. Easy Apply is a feature on LinkedIn where it doesn't take you to the job portal of a company. You just have to upload your resume with 2 steps and hit send, and it goes directly into the inbox of the recruiter. So Nicholas, a recruiter might use a recruiter profile, which has different capabilities. It has a powerful search tool. It also has that incognito mode. So you can see on your profile, a recruiter has visited your profile, but you may not know which recruiter. And they can receive Easy Apply applications and browse through that as well. So that's the perspective of a recruiter. They have like a powerful different category of LinkedIn. They're using the search tools and they're reaching out to people either via InMail, which is the LinkedIn's mail feature, or through a inbox, all through your DMs. So that's what they're looking for. So as a candidate who's looking for a job, these are the things that we now narrowed down: Johnson & Johnson roles and particular scientist roles in neuroscience. Next, you really want to validate your choice. You're having second doubts about working at Johnson & Johnson. Maybe you want to know about the culture a little bit. So you want to connect with interesting people, maybe hiring managers at Johnson & Johnson. What do you do? So one thing you can do is you can go to the Johnson & Johnson LinkedIn page. Okay, I'm going to click play. Hopefully this plays. I'll walk you through this. Go to the Johnson & Johnson LinkedIn page and click on the People tab. Okay, let me forward this a little bit. Yeah, so click on the People tab. And as soon as you click on the People tab, what you should see is where have those people studied. So go to the company's website, go to the People's tab, and then see there's an option where you can filter on where people have studied. So this opportunity at this moment in time, instead of looking through 45,000 Johnson & Johnson employees that live in the United States, you can start with filtering on those that work at Johns Hopkins University or whatever university you're from. So use that filter tool that is available to you on LinkedIn to start narrowing down who you want to speak with. Okay, I just acknowledging the chat box. You're welcome, Nicholas. So this thing wasn't playing today. That's fine because I'm going to give you separate videos anyway. So that's one thing, right? You're going to the company's page, filtering on LinkedIn. Oh, here now it's doing it. And then you're filtering on Johns Hopkins University and narrowing who you're speaking with. So I'm writing here Johns Hopkins University, and the results that it's going to give me are a bunch of people who work at Johnson & Johnson who also went to Hopkins in some capacity, which restates and re-emphasizes that thing I told you about keywords, because everything is based on being searchable on LinkedIn. So now I also am adding another criteria to my search bar. And I said neuroscience people who went to Johns Hopkins. So instead of fishing in the big ocean for folks or opportunities, I'm narrowing it down with this LinkedIn filter and search tool that was not available actually a couple of years ago. So it's a fantastic like research tool and ability to connect with folks as well. On the flip side, perhaps you don't care about Johnson and Johnson, or you care about Johnson and Johnson, but you want to do it another way. You could always go to your school's website, like Johns Hopkins University, click on the alumni tab. Okay, you have a lot of options here. Click on the alumni tab, and then under where they work, you can add another filter and put any company of your choice, Google, Microsoft, National Art Gallery, Johnson and Johnson. And now LinkedIn is able to narrow down Johns Hopkins alumni in some capacity who work at those particular roles at your stadium. So that's another way to sort of be strategic in who you chat with. Let me pause at this section right now and move our focus to connecting with recruiters. So here in this scenario, you have gone ahead and you have applied for the job. Your resume is good, LinkedIn profile is great. You know you want this particular scientist role or marketer, marketing specialist role. You've applied, you've sent your application, but you want to follow up or you want to bring visibility to yourself. So you're going to connect with a recruiter in this instance. So on LinkedIn, go to the search tool and search the word recruiter or search the word talent acquisition. It'll give you all the recruiters, talent acquisition, whatever people have put in their headline. And now you can go ahead and you can filter on people first, because again, the search and filter tool, that's a powerful combination. And then search for the company that you've applied for. So in this case, Johnson and Johnson. And it gives you a bunch of results. But you want Johnson and Johnson in the New York City area because that's where you want to move, or New Jersey. Show results. And the recruiter and the talent acquisition folk who work in those areas who are interesting sort of show up on your LinkedIn page. So at least you're narrowing down a few folks in the area and the organization that you're interested in. So I found this life science talent acquisition page that is really interesting. And now I browse through their profile and I want to reach out to the recruiter. How might I do that? Click on the connect button and write them a small note and say, hi, I'm a postdoc, strongly interested in transitioning into a scientist position at Johnson & Johnson. I would like to connect with you on LinkedIn to learn more about opportunities that you're recruiting for. They connect with you, they appreciate that you have written them a nice note, and then you follow up and you say, thanks for connecting. Also, thanks for such a welcoming message on your LinkedIn profile. Because if you went to that person's profile and saw their summary, they say, I will talk to you. You're welcome to reach out to me. So I'm acknowledging that I looked at their profile first, I mentioned it in my outreach, and then I say, I'm interested in the scientist one position, requisition number 3415, because LinkedIn job postings come and go. So make sure like you have the original job posting so they can look at it internally. After seeing the job description, I feel that I could add value to the position. I was wondering, would you be able to connect me with that team hiring for that role or point me in the right direction? So what I've done in my outreach is be very small and specific in my ask. And I end with a question so as to elicit a response back. And again, very specific. Oftentimes I'll get a message on LinkedIn saying, help me. And I have no idea how to help you. And I need you to be a little bit more specific. So imagine the recruiters who are receiving hundreds and hundreds of messages. They might appreciate a customized, specific, small ask. So before I kind of summarize this entire journey, what I want to mention is let jobs come to you. If you didn't already know this part, many of you already know this as well. On the front of your LinkedIn page is your open to section. Let recruiters know discreetly or publicly that you are open to being hired. And over here, you can tell them what job titles, your locations, and then you can choose to see who's open. So if you say anyone can see it, you'll see the green bar around your profile picture. But if you choose to be discreet, you don't want anyone knowing that you're looking for a job, you don't have to. You can only let recruiters who are using the recruiter profile know to connect with you. And many of our students and postdocs have received messages from recruiters in this way. So things to consider when you're doing this sort of outreach. Make your ask of someone on LinkedIn small and easily executable. The number one like basic etiquette on LinkedIn is being respectful of a person's time. And if they're establishing boundaries, to respect those boundaries. I keep getting a message from this one person every single day about something, and it has prompted me to put my out of office away message on LinkedIn because it's just too many messages every single day. Space out your frequency of your follow-ups as well. So follow-ups are appreciated, but not too often. And if you, so a lot of people say sometimes, I feel uncomfortable. Is this normal etiquette for LinkedIn? It's completely normal. This platform is built on talking to strangers and connecting with professionals from different ways, and recruiters benefit from it, and you benefit from it. And it seems a bit transactional, but it's completely normal if done respectfully, politely, and you're not asking for a lot. And I wanted to re-emphasize this point. Sometimes things take time to materialize. Some of those connections I was talking about that I made in 2017, 2018, now they're coming to fruition in some way or the other. Either I'm reaching out for calling them to be a speaker, or I'm connecting some students with them. My goals for using LinkedIn has changed and moved away from making it about my profile to making it about helping people that I can help connect with other people. And never in my journey of using LinkedIn have I felt that I can't be myself, or that I'm selling my soul, or I'm performing. It's always with the intention of being 100% myself, organic, and being helpful. So I feel like if I've been through this journey in this way, it's possible that you might also be able to leverage it in an honest and icky, non-performative way. To the end of the day, the best case scenario for this person exploring these career pathways is that they're learning along the way. You keep exploring, you keep using LinkedIn, you learn the tips and tricks. They're making valuable connections with hiring managers and recruiters, and they're fine-tuning their networking skills, seeing what works, seeing doesn't work as they go along. No one is born an expert at like LinkedIn. You just use it, you figure out what works and doesn't work, and then you fine-tune it. Now, this person is a real life person who, over the course of 2 years, is a grad student, did about 94 conversations and hated LinkedIn at the beginning and didn't know what to do with it. And then finally got 9 interviews, 5 offers in biotech. And then you see their text message. It says, all the offers except BioMarin was through my network. 2 of the positions, including the one at Johnson & Johnson, were not even advertised. And I had to exclaim and say, well, you hated the idea of LinkedIn and networking. It took many conversations for him to realize that it doesn't have to be this big thing. It's small steps, one-on-one conversations that finally yielded some results for him as well. So I think this might be a good time to take a few questions if anyone has them. I do have a couple of one or extra things in case you have questions about that. But any questions, you can unmute yourself or put them in the chat box. First, let me ask you one. Was this information thus far helpful? Helpful. Okay, good. Okay, good. Any questions? I'll put at the end, my, in fact, I'll email you after this and say, tomorrow is my drop-in hour. This is the link. If you want to come, you want to chat a little bit more. Good. I'm seeing a lot of helpful, which was my intention. And my original 3 goals was to make you feel like this is not something scary, right? I just want to touch upon in the last few minutes, if you are deciding to become a LinkedIn content creator, people have predicted, like Facebook content creators, TikTok content creators, that LinkedIn is the place to start posting professional content. So if you want to start speaking up on there, and I've done it, and you want to become a content creator, you have a number of options available to you. You can post a photo, you can make videos, you can write articles, you can create a newsletter. At the end of the day, do what feels comfortable to you. If at the end of the day, The goal isn't to get the viral post, it's to offer some sort of value. So things that people post on LinkedIn are, I'm happy to announce, here's a personal story. Some people are keeping it real. Some people make the viral post happen with some controversial take on some topic. I like to do like teaching a skill, maybe because I hark back to the time that I didn't know what to do. Some people spotlight others. Some people's whole intention is to create fabricated viral posts. It really, really matters. It depends on your comfort level, but definitely, if you want to explore that, you can as well. It really brings visibility. One of my posts at one point had 500,000 engagements, and that led to a whole bunch of LinkedIn requests. So sometimes when you do some activity on LinkedIn, you'll see your little insights peak. Like yesterday, I posted about this LinkedIn talk, and there's a slight increase because I haven't been using LinkedIn as much in the last few weeks, but you can get some insights on your content posting as well. So question some people ask are, should I get LinkedIn Premium? Now, LinkedIn Premium, you can always get the trial version when you're at the peak of your job search. It's not necessary, but it does have its value. I got LinkedIn Premium at 2017 and I never stopped it because I saw the value. Because when I'm applying to jobs, I get insight that others might not get because I have LinkedIn Premium. For instance, in this job here, as a research manager, I can see that there are 20 applicants. And by the way, I recently learned that that doesn't mean 20 people have submitted their resume. It means 20 people have interacted with the post. I can see what keywords are missing from my website. I can see how many people have a PhD, so on and so forth. I can get some insights into my LinkedIn profile as well. So it's a toss up. It has its value, especially when you're in the peak of job hunting. But in the early years, you don't really need LinkedIn Premium. Although it allows you to do unlimited searches on people, it's nice to have. Okay, what was the question? I saw some question in the chat box. Is there a place where we can find recordings for these sessions? Yes. When I email you and say, hi, can you fill my feedback form for this session? I will do that as well. I will send you resources on my YouTube channel. Okay, so hopefully I've met these 3 goals. I know it's a lot of information. I usually do 2 workshops separate, one on just doing a good profile and one on leveraging LinkedIn, which I squished into one. But hopefully I've met these 3 goals here. By the way, if you're on your phones and you want to get a head start on filling like a 1-minute survey on the session, go ahead and scan the QR code and let me know what was missing and what you liked about it, so we can put that in our data. I'll leave this for another 30 seconds, but otherwise I'll hang around in case some of you have some more questions. You want to unmute yourself. I'm glad it was helpful. Okay, you may have taken a picture already. This will be included in the email that I follow up with you. Examples of informational interviews, template that you can use to reach out to folks, so on and so forth. You're welcome, guys. Thank you for being here today. Let me stop my share and then be available for anyone else who wants to ask some questions.
Hi, Roshi. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for this engaging session. I have this question. Being part of the Johns Hopkins network